Mic check, 1, 2. Okay, we're cool. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good? I know it's been a lot of sitting, right? Listening to a lot of these panels, and a lot of walking, because I don't know if you all went over to the very front part of NFT.NYC, which was packed with tons of people and sponsors. So I know a lot of you are probably worn out, but hyped up on adrenaline. So we are glad to have you here today. My name is Heather Richmond. I am the CEO of AgIQ Tech, as well as Universal Web 3. And we are here talking about save the planet Earth with the power of NFTs. Now, that's a pretty big statement, right?
Pretty big. Yeah.
Pretty big statement. And I want to say that it's probably one of the most impactful stages here is talking about the planet and what this has to do, what NFTs has to do with that. So we really appreciate everyone being here today. And I want all of the panelists to take a moment to introduce themselves so that you can get to know us a little better. So thank you all for coming. Go ahead, Andre.
Well, thank you very much, Heather, for that really powerful and energetic introduction in the afternoon. My name's Vanyi. I'm a CEO and founder of Plastics. Plastics is a marketplace built on Silo blockchain where artists can play an active role in reducing waste and plastic in the environment and do it in a verified and verifiable way. Thank you.
And my name is Jose Andreas. I'm the instigator at large of the Clean NFTs Discord community. I'm here doing my best to represent all of the different voices in that community, and to be quite honest, I wish the founder, Michelle, and some other folks could be here too, because they're really the ones that are putting in a lot of the work still in that group. So just got to give that shout out.
Hi, everybody. My name is Blue Moon. I'm a founding partner of Intent.Art. We're an art, tech, and sustainability forward NFT artist collective, and we have our own platform. I'm also the creator of #OneDropNFTs, which is a movement to destigmatize menstruation through discussion and through art.
Fantastic. So can we get a round of applause for everybody who came here? I think we need energy hype right now because I'm very grateful. And listen, all these panelists that you see here flew in, some from around the world to be here and share some insight. So I'm very grateful for that. The first question that we're going to have here is, what does sustainability and NFTs mean to the panel? Because it's such a big topic, right? I mean, you're combining such a new community that's merging right now as we see the shift from NFT last year in New York City into NFT New York City this year. You're seeing how dynamic this industry is growing at such a big pace. So for you, Andre, if you want to start, what does that mean to you?
Well, from my point of view of plastics, it means being useful. It means that NFTs having an impact on reducing waste in the environment, and that is driven principally by a business model change, by the fact that you're able to incentivize the reduction of plastics in the environment. And you're able to do something to an industry that hasn't changed in 50 years, which is waste management and recycling. So that is, for me, what the utility of an NFT is about and how it can be sustainable in an impactful way.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, honestly, it comes down to education. Last year when this topic of the environmental impact was really big and a hot button issue, that was the core thing that I saw, where on either side of that topic, education, people who are obviously really passionate about the environment, people who are really passionate about crypto. I didn't see a lot of folks coming together to discuss this and debate it in a format other than just dogpiling on Twitter. And I think if folks are willing to have these deep discussions, then maybe we can get down to the bottom of the truth of how this can actually help impact in a positive way.
For me, sustainability in NFTs is actually a lot about community, which is kind of what you were talking about. NFTs have this amazing power to bring people together, especially those who have common interests and are very passionate about especially making a change. The NFT community is one of the most intelligent and progressive thinking communities I've ever had the pleasure to be a part of. And we really want to make a change to make the world a better place for so many people. And with NFTs, we're able to do that. And there are so many people who are innovating every single day to even make NFTs themselves more sustainable and to change things in the real world, like Andre's company is doing.
Fantastic. So to shift off of alongside that as well too, what should people be looking for, right? Like if they're out there looking at NFTs, and obviously there's so much, right, in that word NFT, and it means so much to different people, right? It's from like artwork to accountability, you know? And so for each of you, like, what does that look like, right? Like, what would you recommend to our audience here as to what, you know, they should look for when they're looking at sustainability and NFTs? If you want to start, Blue?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So a lot of people are thinking about sustainability in terms of the environmental impact when it comes to, let's say, mining cryptocurrency. There's proof of stake and proof of work blockchains. Proof of work is the very energy intensive, highly polluting way to keep the network secure. Proof of stake is like, what, 1,000 times more energy efficient and is able to keep the network secure theoretically just as well as proof of work. So I think a lot of people are looking for proof of stake blockchains to buy their NFTs on. Ethereum will be doing the merge later this summer. Hopefully, we're all crossing our fingers.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see. To move to a proof of stake consensus mechanism. But there are other proof of stake blockchains that NFTs are bought and sold on. So Solana, which Katie was just talking about just before we came on. There's Tezos, Flow, Polkadot, even Cardano, so many different marketplaces and blockchains that you can buy your NFTs on. But there are also other aspects of sustainability as well. There's one really interesting meme that I saw that was like the tunnel vision of sustainability, where it's only focused on carbon emissions, but there's all these other things that are also a part of it, like land pollution and water pollution, but also social aspects like opportunities for women and minorities. And this is another way that we can increase sustainability in NFTs through supporting projects that are by women and minorities and people from marginalized communities.
Thank you.
I'm gonna answer it a different way. Because you said a lot of like things that I totally like. You're saying all the right things, but I'm gonna say because a lot of people come to the Discord and they ask, what chain should I mint on, what platform should I mint on, and I can't answer that question for you. Like, you have to consider so many different things beyond just which one is the cleanest one. I would say just look at the fundamentals. So like, how is the actual token being stored? Whether or not you care about decentralization, like that's going to impact your choice. And then, like if you're willing to sacrifice potentially having a smaller customer base, but then you want to develop projects that are like more true to, like your own ethics and things like that, then maybe you'll wind up with customers who like will follow you into that, and they're actually who you want to serve instead of just like degens, right? So yeah, that's how I would answer that.
From our perspective, it's from an aspect of utility. So utility at a global level, meaning working in Africa, in Australia, Latin America, all over the world, you have all these different legislations, you have all these different cultures and idiosyncrasies. But from the data point of view, an NFT, in our case, that guarantees that a certain amount of plastic and a certain quantity, a certain type of plastic has been recovered, meaning you know what amount, what type, when it was recovered, and you know where it's going. Having that on an NFT allows for all these different countries across the world to put these NFTs for sale. And for those who want to buy them, or artists that want to mint and link their art to these guarantees of recovery, it allows them to relate to it very transparently and very easily. So the utility of an NFT is based on the verification possibility that it affords across the world. So you don't have to be concerned of local legislation. You don't have to be concerned of interpreting well the data. The data is uniform for everyone. In that sense, the NFT is very useful as a tool for reducing waste in the environment.
Absolutely, and thank you, and that's very true. So The one suggestion I would say absolutely is like do your research, right? If people aren't looking at humanity, right? If they're not looking to take care of initiatives that are important for our planet and people, like you really got to look at who you're aligning yourself with. Right now, folks, more than ever, like we all have calls to action to make sure that we're taking care of our people, right? And part of that is making sure that the companies that we surround ourselves with hold that same accountability as well too, which is one of the reasons that I love NFTs. I love blockchain, right? We're finally at a place where we can start having true transparency. How crazy is that to think that all these years we haven't had the ability as individual people of the planet to have really truth told to what has been happening. So for me, I would just say, please research who you're working with, research who you're doing business with. And if you're down for them, then you better make sure that they're gonna start being down for things that are important for the future of our earth, right? So I appreciate everybody on that. And I wanna bring this next question over to Andre, because this man literally just got back from Abu Dhabi on stage with the king talking about all things sustainability. And so I'm very grateful, right? But this question is directed towards him because he's doing a lot of things with his company, Plastics. And I would say, how can NFTs change an industry like waste management that's been around for 50 years and doing waste with zero accountability, Andre?
Well, that's a very, very good question. Just so we're all on the same page, the waste management industry makes money two ways. They make money collecting waste, right? So they generate revenue by collecting waste on behalf of municipal governments, local governments, and private entities. And the second way they make money is by separating the waste and identifying what part of that waste can be used as a feedstock or a prime resource to be sold to recycling companies, so that the recycling companies can therefore create new single-use packaging with recovered materials. So on that second activity, obviously if you're selling something, that means you're issuing an invoice. If you're issuing an invoice, it means that you're obviously paying taxes. If you're paying taxes, that means you're paying taxes on something you sold. So if you sold it, you had it in the first place. Bottom line, the invoice is a document that proves that you've recovered a certain type of polymer and a certain quantity of polymer. So that invoice basically can be put up for sale. Similar to those who are very familiar, and I have an understanding of this conference that most are familiar with carbon credits, but very similar to that sector, or that industry, plastic credits are born from the recovery guarantees of the documents from an industry that hasn't changed. Now, a very important point. If you tell the owner of a waste management company, wherever you are, in Africa, in Latin America, anywhere across the world, please give a portion of your profit to people in the streets of Nairobi so they can pick up waste and improve their lifestyles. They're going to say, no, I'd love to, but I'm a business, I cannot. Well, if you tell them, I'm going to bring you a third source of revenue, please remind yourselves, I told you 1, collecting, 2, separating and selling. Now you have a third source of revenue, selling the data that you've done that effectively, that you've actually collected and ensured that no plastic has gone into the environment. You can make money that way. But oh, by the way, don't get too excited. 40% of that money is going to go into the hands of non-for-profits across developing nations that have a direct impact with the waste pickers, who actually are going to be incentivized to collect more plastic and improve their economic livelihood because they're on the verge of social exclusion. So this is the power of the NFT. Why? Because an industry that hasn't changed in 50 years, has been profit-driven and very opaque, can now be incentivized economically to be, what? Very transparent, and can make money being transparent. So all of a sudden, you've created a method for them to become transparent, which is the oldest method in the book, incentive, money. And therefore, they will have a direct impact on the people that are actually on the ground picking up the waste. That is how NFT and its business model can help change an industry which we all know has been very, very rigid in the last 50 years.
100%. You can see why he's a superstar, okay? So we're grateful, and thank you so much for that. And I think that, you did touch on narrative a little bit, right? It's like telling the narrative of what, the sustainability community meets the individuals who are on the ground, right? And like creating that story. So like, how important is the narrative? I want to start that with both of you. You want to answer that? Like, what is the narrative? Like, why is it so important in this NFTs and in tracing that back with sustainability?
One thing that I think about when you ask that question is how much power we all have as individuals to make an impact in the space right now. This is the baby stages, and so just a little bit of a nudge right here can make it go like this, whereas if we don't, it'll go like this. So we have a lot of power right now to shape the industry in a way that it's going to serve more people and preserve the planet at the same time. So I would say don't undersell the amount of influence every single one of you guys in this room has. Every single one of you guys. I know that you guys have probably seen it. I mean, Lauren Singer a few years ago made a video about, all the trash that she collected in a jar over the course of 5 years. That one video spurred an entire industry of zero waste lifestyle. There was a straw, the video of the turtle with the straw in their nose, and now I'm seeing everybody with paper straws. We can do that in NFTs working together. We can say, we don't want the pollution. We want even the mining rigs to be powered by sustainable, renewable energy. We want to see more we want to see NFT projects that are supporting renewable energy. And so don't undercut the influence that you have to make a difference. It really, really works.
Awesome, thank you.
Just to piggyback off that, if you look at DeFi, right? Uniswap proved the model for that. What happened? Everyone forked it, and you can't have a blockchain without DeFi. So once you prove the model, it just goes out, people iterate on it, and they make it better and better and better, right? Data art. The reason why we have royalties on NFTs, a small group of artists that push OpenSea to kind of adopt that. Now it's a standard. Now people expect it, right? Now you're not going to have NFTs without royalties. That won't make any sense, right? Who's gonna mint artwork if they're not going to get that 10%, or whatever they're going to get on that? And then clean NFTs, right? That was just a group of artists that came together and wanted to discuss, hey, how can we do this in the best way possible with the least amount of harm? Fast forward a couple months, right? Now it's in the mainstream. Now you won't see a project that doesn't have at least some kind of disclaimer about what they're doing to either offset, to do carbon removal, to be on a chain that's more sustainable. And that's just the beginning, right? This can be pushed so much further, but it's up to people to still keep that conversation going. And just to believe that it's possible to still make that change now, because we're still early, but it's actually true. We can still make an impact that way.
Most of humanity, 98%, is just surviving. Most of us in this room, that 98%, wake up in the morning and we look at CNN or Fox News or whatever we're exposed to and bombarded with, and we see that the world is going in a terrible direction. Our hearts are taken by all of this, and we go to our work with a desire to make a change. By 10 o'clock, it's coffee time. By 12 o'clock, we've done reports, we've done meetings, we've done the work that we need to do. By 3 o'clock, the tiredness sets in, sleepiness, we're thinking of the 4 o'clock coffee. Then we go home, and then we've got to prepare dinner, take care of the kids, and then all of a sudden you're at 9 o'clock bringing down the garbage, at least in Europe, in front of the bin, and figuring out, okay, is this all worth it? Is all my effort of separating the waste at home going to actually make a difference? And then all of a sudden you go fast forward to your Saturday, and then you're thinking, okay, well, I'm on the shelf in some supermarket and I'm going to buy butter. There's a $1.50 butter or a $50 or 50 cents butter. And then most of humanity is going to choose the 50 cents butter. So the power that we have is to choose products and services from companies that have demonstrated their commitment to the environment. That is the only true power we have as consumers. So it is the responsibility of companies to demonstrate their commitment to the environment and to demonstrate this commitment verifiably. And NFTs are the ability for them to show that because they have an economic incentive in doing so. So therefore, the true power of consumers is rewarding companies with their consumption, companies that have demonstrated their commitment to the environment. This is the true power of the consumer.
Without a doubt, and that's all part of the storytelling, right? So even as you're going out there and you're thinking about narratives for like your own NFT projects, I heard this a long time ago, and I wish I remembered who said this, and if anybody in the audience knows, please let me know after. It's facts tell and stories sell, right? People are buying NFTs, why? Because they're like seeing all of the hype that's happening on TV, and Steve Aoki just bought one, and like you got Snoop Dogg's got a new one, and what happens? That hype and that narrative, right? Like that's what really drives like a big portion of the NFT world. And so as you're looking at those narratives, right? And we're a sustainability community and we're really focused on NFTs and sustainability. It's about storytelling. So make sure if you don't have a story, get a story, right? And make sure that you have something that's valuable that you can tell that same story and you know it's gonna have impact because a story that means something is what matters. So I'll wrap up my thought on that one, but I'm gonna ask, we've got like 2 more questions and I know we gotta wrap up and this has been super awesome, so thank you everybody. So carbon credits has been a really big talk, so has plastic credit. And I wanna start with this question with you, Andre, is, how can NFTs be used as a global plastic credit similar to carbon credits? Because we have yet to hear a lot about this plastic credit, so I'm interested in learning as well.
Well, again, very good question. Well, from the invoicing perspective, if you can all recall the second source of revenue in the waste management industry, 5 data points are universal. Invoice number, date of invoice, quantity of polymer being recovered, and type of polymer being recovered, and of course the destination. So these 5 data points are put onto the blockchain into the form of an NFT. And very important, only really accountants have an emotional relationship with data. At the end of the day, the fact that Coca-Cola has created its balance sheet and told you what they've done after the year is not going to make you choose Coca-Cola over Pepsi-Cola when you're at the store. What is the most powerful embodiment of energy, of emotion? Art. So art becomes the tool for basically all consumers to respond to brands' commitment to the environment. And the NFT, with those 5 data points, can ground that art into a verifiable reality so that you know, as an artist, you are making sure that waste is being recovered. You know, as a consumer, if you are responding energetically, emotionally to this art, you are also helping reduce waste in the environment.
Fantastic. So that's very, very interesting, but good timing. That was very interesting. And carbon credits are obviously big talk, and I would love for you to touch on this a little bit, Blue Moon, because carbon credits everyone's hearing about, right? And so how does that relate to NFTs? Why is that valuable, and how would you recommend, describing a little bit about what the carbon credits and NFTs will look like together?
A lot of companies are doing carbon offsets, and so basically what that means is that they're paying for projects that are good for the environment to make up for the energy that their product took. I think that my personal opinion is that carbon credits are very important and they should certainly continue, but the emphasis really needs to be on reducing your impact overall, generally. And so what we want to be doing is reducing pollution, reducing air pollution, soil pollution, ground pollution, water pollution, all of these things, so that in a general sense, so that we don't need to make up that carbon credit in the first place.
Go ahead, darling. We would love to hear, Andre, please.
Sorry, just on that note, the reason we chose to go with Cielo blockchain is, of course, proof of stake is much friendlier for the environment, reduced energy footprint, but also the commitment of the blockchain to be offsetting each transaction. So measurement is very important. Being able to measure the footprint of a transaction, that's very important.
It is, and there are like so many questions, and I know there's so much we want to talk about, but I know that our time is running thin, and so I want to first off say thank you to everybody who's been here today and for sitting down and taking your time away from all of the amazing action that's literally going on across the street. I hope you guys are having the most fun tonight because I know there's all sorts of hype going on. But my biggest thing that I would just want to say as we're leaving this conversation about sustainability is like influence for your planet, right? Influence for humanity. Like make sure that whoever you're aligning yourself with is looking at the initiatives that are really doing better, right? And we have the choice as consumers, as CEOs, as influencers and business people to really align our agendas around people that are doing that. Because if they're not, folks, I don't care what brands you have or what tequilas you're trying to sell. If you don't have people that have the ability to go out and purchase your products, you don't have a product. So influence for your planet. Make sure that you align yourselves. All these people, 1 second, I know we are on the last clock right now here, but I just want to give everyone who's up on stage right now a moment to say where people can follow you so that they can follow you on your platforms, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you like. Please give a quick shout out to yourself.
I'm on Twitter at BLUEM0XN.
I'm on Twitter at never_render, but I like to post a lot of weird stuff, so.
Note to audience.
Those are the best accounts in my opinion.
plasticswithak.io.
Fantastic. And I'm with Heather Jane, just I am with Heather Jane. And thank you all for coming. Have an amazing day. And we appreciate you participating. Thank you.